It has been 3 years since One Up Racing has started up a new series with an inaugural event, and boy has a lot changed since then. We are here at the Daytona International Speedway, as we have done to start every season in recent times, but here is something completely new. For the first time in One Up competition, we have the Modified Motor Tour, set to make its inaugural race here today on the backstretch at the Daytona International Speedway for 45 laps. We have 24 cars ready to go for this historic event, and alongside me in the booth to bring you all the action today is a 6-time One-Up Superstar Series winner and a past winner here on the big track at Daytona. I am of course referring to Lane Sanders. Fantastic to have you with us, because today is going to be something you're not going to forget for a long time, especially for these new drivers looking to make an impression early on in their careers.
Oh, absolutely. And what a place to start off the season at. Daytona, of course, Daytona is known worldwide as a big event for racing, but we are doing something a little bit different here. Instead of the 2.5 mile super speedway, we're doing this on the half mile, or quarter mile, excuse me. The quarter mile bull ring on the back straightaway. This is designed for its close quarters, compact, contact racing, and I am looking forward to seeing it. We got a lot of new faces here, a lot of old ones we've seen in upper series like Nitro or the Truck Series, and I'm interested to see how talent merges as we go for 45 laps around this quarter mile racetrack.
Absolutely, and this is going to be something that everyone's been looking forward to ever since the series was announced early last year. And now we can bring you the inaugural starting lineup for tonight's 45 laps of racing action, and the polls for today's race, well, who else would it be? The most experienced man in the field after a full season in the Nitro National Series last year, Ashton Blevins. He's looking to kickstart a championship charge here this season in the modifieds. He starts on pole position. He was the only one in qualifying to go into the 21-second bracket. Alongside him will be his Phantom Fury Motorsports teammate, Nicholas Santiago, who makes his one-up debut here today. So a very contrasting level of experience between the two teammates up front. Elias Bershi, we saw him in the trucks last year. He starts third ahead of Colby Bogdansky in fourth, and Seth Bayless rounds out the top five. We've got a lot of big names through the field, a lot of new faces, a lot of people looking to rejuvenate their careers. But what are you most looking forward to? Because there's a lot I want to see happen tonight.
I am looking most forward to the action. Like I said at the top of the show, this is a close quarters racetrack. You're going to see a lot of bumping and banging, a lot of tempers flare. We're going to see some fists thrown, and maybe we'll see a good classic short track finish. We'll see after 45 laps around this bull ring at Daytona.
And with passing, not the easiest thing in the world here to do, where it's going to be very interesting to see if Blevins can hang on and score a big win to kickstart his season, if his teammate can steal it away from him, or maybe even someone else further back in the field. We'll find out all those answers and then some at the end of 45 laps here tonight. So with that being said, we've got 24 cars ready to rock and roll. We're ready to bring you the green flag. So for the first time in Modified Motor Tour history, the green flag getting ready to come at you in a few moments, and we can't wait to bring you the action. Getting ready to make some history here. For the first time in series history, the One-Up Modified Motor Tour is getting ready to go racing. Field approaching the start-finish line, starting to accelerate, and we are green at Daytona with the modifieds, and it looks to be pretty even start for the first few cars, but I think Blevins is going to take advantage of that inside line, and he is going to power away with the lead down the back straightaway.
And you saw right there, 54 car, Santiago, he is going to lunge it in there in turn 3, try to use that outside line, gets a really good run off the corner, but I believe Ashton Blevins is going to lead the first lap in the Modified Tours history. Good on Blevins, though. And now Santiago is going to try to slot into second place. That's not going to work. Elias Berchley is going to slip in there in that 11 car. He's going to try to take the second spot, and Santiago's going to slip in here to third. Santiago's got to try to get back up to his teammate and back through the field. They are still too wide throughout.
Yeah, so Bershi splits up the Phantom Fury Motorsports duo at the front. Chase James trying to make a move on Colby Bogdansky. That is for 5th position, and it looks like the 49 is going to make that move stick. Up at the front, though, Santiago is going to try and make a lunge back up the inside of Bershi. This is for 2nd. He wants to try and reestablish himself as the runner-up in this race to cement a Phantom Fury 1-2 at the front. I'm sure he'd love to go catch his teammate, but for now, the his main goal is to repass this 11 and reestablish dominance at the front.
And he's going to do that. Santiago looks like to have a good car so far. That team, I spoke to that team before we got to the green flag. Santiago told me that he really likes his car. He thinks he's got a good long-run car. But with 45 laps around this track, you don't have a lot of time. It's about 20 seconds a lap. You really got to go and accomplish what you set out to accomplish. Santiago has already got within 5/10 of his teammate. And we'll see what he can do as the race goes on.
Yeah, and you notice the 11 went a little wide for 1 and 2. That's going to cost him a little bit in comparison to the two teammates out front. We make our way further back. Looks like the entire top half dozen or so are now single file as we make our way to the end of lap 5. The laps really fly by quickly here at Daytona on the short track, as it looks like Dallas Miller in the 83 puts Bogdansky down another position. He's lost 4 since the start of this race. But look at Jack Davis in this 45 for Northborough Motorsports. He's gained 10 places since in the opening 5 laps, 6 laps. He is now up into 9th place after starting all the way down in 19th. Who says you can't make a pass here?
I spoke to their crew chief this morning when they came to practice. They told me that they really wanted to work on race pace, a car that could really rotate. And what that means is they want a car that can rotate the center of the corner. And if you can get that down, you'll get more drive off. It means you can build a better run off the corner. And you can lunge deeper into the corner afterwards. And Davis has shown that he has had a really good-looking race car. They believe they have the best car in the field, and they're showing it right now. I believe he got another spot there, about to bust into the top 10.
He's already there. He's up to 9th place from his 19th starting spot. Excellent run from Jack Davis. As Bogdansky, he's trying to make some moves back through the field. He started 4th. He's fallen back to 8th place. Now he's working on Andronico for 7th position. So Bogdansky had a bit of a slow start, but he's starting to make up some places once again. So, and honestly, this is a bit of an unknown for these guys. Nobody's driven these cars before. No one's driven this track in these cars before. So there's a lot to learn on the fly here. And as we close in on the end of the first quarter of this race, Ashton Blevins looks to have the magic trick figured out so far. He's got a 7/10 lead over his teammate.
And of course, that whole thing with Bogdansky starting 4th, that is a detriment on these flat, short tracks. You don't want to start on the top. Usually, if you're in the first row, you could probably be able to sort it out. But if you're like 4th, 6th, 8th, further all the way down the order, if you're on the top line, you're going to have to fight, scratch, and claw to get to that bottom line, because it is the dominant way around the racetrack, just plain and simple. And man, you are noticing now the 54 car, Santiago, has dropped another 1/10.5 off of his teammate. I thought maybe Santiago really had the best car in the field. Their crew really spoke highly of it. But it seems to me that they were just able to fire off good and have started to fade, but they have gotten a 10th back on Ashton Blevins, their teammate. So we'll see here as the race goes on. We're on lap 12 now. We're over a quarter of the way through the race. We'll see if they can't not run down their teammate.
Meanwhile, the best of the non-Phantom Fury cars at the moment is Elias Bershey in the 11, keeping in touch with the top 2, doing a decent job of it. But Seth Bayless in the 34 starting to get a little bit detached, I would say, from the front 3. And Chase James in the 49, he's starting to fall even further back. So unless something changes in a big hurry, we might see this become a 3-horse race at the front of the field. But look at Jack Davis. This might be the drive of the race for me so far. He has, I said, started back in 19th. He's just powered back past the 6 of Juan Diaz. That puts the 45 back up into 9th place.
Oh, absolutely. That car is on rails right now. And the 45, you saw it right there. He was able to get such a run off of turn 4, and he was able to lunge it down into the turn 1 and catch the 6 completely by surprise. Juan Diaz he's getting pressure by his teammate. That is the 9 car, Jesse Johns. Johns through it. Is going to dive in behind his teammate. Looked like he was going to make a move. Now those 2 cars are still just outside fighting in the top 10. That 45 car is showing a lot of muscle as you look further back through the field. Yeah, several cars back here, trying to fight.
Here is Archer Shriak in the 75. He had a strong run at Talladega in the trucks last year. and now he is back for a full-time effort in the modifieds in the 75. He started this race back about 12th position. That's pretty much where he's remained throughout the race. He's, I believe now, he's actually lost a couple spots. I think he's down in like 15th, but it's still, for his first time in a modified open-wheel car on a short track like this, still a solid effort for him. Luke Evans, right in front of him in the 93, he runs 14th, and Victor Reyes in the 27. We're making our way through the field bit by bit. Look at this lunge by Shriak's teammate in the 57. He is having a fantastic run himself. He started back in 21st. He's gained a handful of spots in the opening half of this race. And now he dives to the inside of Foster Salyers in the 5. He started this race on the back row of the grid. And considering they've got about 6 cars behind them as they battle for position, not a bad day in the office for either of them.
Oh, absolutely not. And of course, you spoke about some of these guys making their first starts in modifieds. Several of these teams have drivers that have made starts in non-one-up sanctioned modified races before. Of course, you have Luke Evans, Austin Hiller has made several starts, Jesse Johns, Dallas Miller has also made some modified starts. Hell, even I have made several, further up the grid have made modified starts up the ladder, including myself. I've made several starts at Huntsville Speedway in the modified tour there. And this is the ground floor for racing. The modifieds, the late models, the street stocks, and you can find talent anywhere. I'm sure in a few years we will see these guys fighting in nitro, in truck, heck, even maybe in superstar races. But this is the humble beginnings, and the 56 of Ashton Blevins is showing what he's got right now. He's now 9/10 of a second ahead of his teammate, Nicholas Santiago.
Although, I believe Santiago has the fastest lap of the race currently, and that is worth a point here in the modifieds. There was a lot of speculation about the points format we would use here. It's different from the one used in the top 3 series. However, that fastest lap point will still apply, so Santiago's got that at the moment, and he's starting to track down his teammate once again in Ashton Blevins. Although, going back to Blevins for a moment, what we saw from him in his Nitro National Tour last year, that was just endless improvement from him. He started out not even qualifying for a race, and then he's just started to get top 15s, top 10s, and he's just been having such improvement. Go back to Talladega last year, or no, it wasn't Talladega, it was Daytona here in the summer race last year. He led all those laps. I thought he was going to win that race. Shame he didn't. But now, as we're well past halfway in this race, he looks to be set to redeem himself here in the modifieds.
Oh yeah, I know all about that Daytona race because it was my car and Cameron Brennan, the Scotsman, that beat him. But Ashton Blevins is such a good sport. He's worked hard. He put a lot of effort into his program, into his team, and he told me before the race started that he dropped down to modifieds, mainly improve himself, maybe reestablish himself. We've seen a lot of people zigzag this series.
Yep.
They don't follow the steady ladder from trucks, the nitro, the cup.
No.
They've done a lot of zigzagging.
And for Blevins, he was more than ready to stay on at JHM Racing in the Nitro National Series, but Blevins wanted to expand in the team ownership. It caused a bit of turmoil with team management at JHM Racing, so they went separate ways. Blevins went down to the modifieds to reestablish himself as a front runner, and he does have now a Nitro National team and a Truck Series team, Heatwave Automotive, which is going to make their debut on the big track in a few weeks' time. So, a lot going for Blevins at the moment. He's going to have his first race as a team owner in a few weeks, and now he is cruising out in front of this modified race as we come to just past 20 laps to go.
Oh yeah, and you have to feel for Blevins, because that's been a lot. This offseason has been very turbulent for him. He spoke about that when we talked yesterday. But behind him, of course, you have Nicholas Santiago, Elias Birchley. Several of these guys were running in the higher ups, running in the trucks in the Nitro Series, and they chose to drop down. Some of them didn't have a choice. It was the only ride that they could find, but a lot of them chose to come down here, and they're trying to show that they are worthy of going up to those higher levels of competition. And you're seeing it now. Santiago has been fighting to stay with his teammate, Ashton Blevins. Elias Birchley in that 11 car has also been trying to stay with those two, and they have held Ashton Blevins at bay I believe that 7/10 of a second that time, and then 1.4 back to the 11 of Elias Birchley.
Yeah,
These guys are all
these three have started to pull away from fourth place Seth Bayless in the 34. So, and they're 3 seconds clear of the 34. These three are keeping a gap between themselves. They're trying to make this a race amongst themselves for the win, and we're coming to 15 laps to go here. For Blevins, it's just a matter of hitting your marks, keeping focus. But one thing that could be a factor at the very end of this race, you see Brian Laughlin in the 28. He's in last place. He just crossed the line. And here's Blevins. He's just crossed the line. So he could catch the back of the field if he keeps this rapid pace up.
And it would be definitely change the complexion of this race. But if I were Santiago, I would start going right now. I would start trying to pressure the 56. He's kept it within a second of his teammate. But if I were Santiago, I would start trying to lunge it in a little bit more. I would start trying to get off. He had a horrible time off the corner that time, though he was able to run another 10th down. That seems to be the trend with that 54. Gets a 10th, loses a 10th. Gets another 10th, loses another 10th. But we'll have to see. We're coming to 13 laps to go. And we'll have to see if Santiago is able to do anything. But that lap traffic, as you said, is going to probably play a big factor at the end of this race.
Oh, look at that. He just cut 2/10 out of the lead. So this could be a big battle between teammates for the win here at Daytona. And remember, Bershey's not that far behind. If those two start locking wheels, battling for the win, and they have a little off into one of these corners, into the tire pack, he could sneak by both of them and bring himself to victory. So this 11 car, I think, is just biding his time back there, waiting for the inevitable confrontation between these teammates. And once they lock horns and crash, he could just swoop past both and take the win. But like you said, Santiago is really sending it in hard, trying to catch his teammate. And as we come to 11 laps to go, I believe that gap will be even smaller.
Oh, absolutely. And you notice that time, the 56 is just not able to hold a 4/10 of a second that time. That 56 cannot hold the bottom. That 54 is able to wrap around the bottom, really able to corner well. And as I said at the top of the show, if you're able to corner well, and look at the 54 is able to run half a lane under the 56, that's going to get him time over and over again. I believe the 56 is going to put more time. Yes, that's because the 56 got a better drive off. Blevins is trying anything that he can do to hold that lead because his teammate is going to get there sooner or later. We have 10 laps to go now.
And he might even bring Bershey with him. That 11 is picking up time on the 54. We got all three of the leaders under a blanket now, coming to 9 laps of racing to go. This is far from over. Far from it. We've got Blevins. He's led every lap so far, yes. But Santiago and Bershey are very much keeping him honest tonight.
Oh, absolutely. And of course, as we said, lap traffic might play a factor. They were on the same straightaway this time by, I believe. Yes, they are. So we'll have to see if they're going to be courteous. Now, I have run short tracks. You've seen me run short tracks where lap cars just are not nice. You know, frustrating days, especially here. But Santiago's got to try everything he can do because you don't want to rely on lap cars alone to get the leader. You have to do it yourself. And he was able to cut another 10th. You see 19 seconds. It's 20-second lap times around this track. So we'll see if they will come to play, and if they do, it's going to be an absolute mess when it happens.
We're coming to 6 laps to go, and for Santiago, he's lost about half a second since we last checked in on the battle for the lead. I think he might have burnt his stuff out trying to catch the 56, and he might be backing into the 11 in the process. But at the rate these cars are going, I don't know if they're actually going to catch the lap traffic or not. They're only a couple tenths a lap faster, and you can see the shadow of one just diving it off right there. That's Laughlin right there coming out of 4. He's going in the 3. It's going to be really close. It might not be enough to catch the lap traffic, but that might be on purpose for Ashton Blevins as we come to 5 laps to go. He might not want to catch the lap traffic. He might just back these guys up a little bit at a time to make sure he does not catch the back of the field.
Oh, absolutely. And of course, you don't want to experiment with something like that being the first time we're here. But for Ashton Blevins, he's trying everything in the book. He lost another 10th that time to his teammate. And now you can see they're in the picture last car on the grid, the 28, is in the picture even more. Another 10th is lost. 4 laps to go. We'll have to see if Santiago has anything for his teammate. If he's got anything, he's got to do it now. It looked like he kind of burnt his tires, warmed them up a little bit too much. You see here, man, the 56 drove it up, but he got a good run off the corner. It's going to be 3 laps to go this time. We'll have to see the time.
Not much of a gain.
Not much of a gain, but it was still a gain.
Yeah, it's going to be nip and tuck for these guys. This race far from over as we come to 2 laps to go. A lot still on the cards for Nicolas Santiago. This has been a dream debut for him. He's run up at the front all day, but he can see that checkered flag in front of him. They're less than a mile from home as we come to 2 laps to go.
Man, the 54 threw it in there. You saw it that time. He's going to throw it in again into turn number 1. 56 kind of had to check up. Thought the 54 was going to run him over. 5/10 of a second now between the front two. If Blevins has anything, he's going to have to do it now as we're coming back to the white flag.
White flag is in the air. We're on to the final lap of the inaugural running of the Modified Motor Tour at the Daytona International Speedway. Ashton Blevins, the gap down to half a second or less. Santiago's going to have one last chance to pitch it in into turn 3.
Let's see.
It's going to be close. I don't know if he's going to have them run. I think it's not going to be quite
Drives it
enough.
in deep.
It's in deep, but I don't think it's enough. Out of turn 4 for the final time, Ashton Blevins is going to christen the new Modified Motor Tour with a big victory. The first of its kind at the Daytona International Speedway. His first in one-up competition after so much heartache in the Nitro National Series. The team owner of that organization, David Wells, he's got to be thrilled with his team. They bring it home 1-2 here today at Daytona, with Santiago bringing it home in 2nd place and Elias Bershi completing the podium in 3rd.
Oh, absolutely. You have to be thrilled as a team owner to get 1-2. And for Blevins, after so much of a disaster that Nitro season last season was, it was good for them. Santiago can't feel bad either about that. Was able to bring it home into a 2nd place, was able to keep pace with his teammate, and that shows that team might be a championship contender because they were able to be so consistent. And that's what you want as a team owner the most, consistency amongst your cars.
Absolutely, and driving a race, other than those two, in my opinion, has to go to that 45 of Jack Davis. He started 19th today. He's the biggest gainer in the field. He gained 11 spots in 45 laps to finish in the 8th position. Fantastic run from him. Maybe he'll challenge for victories later this season as well. But that is going to do it for us for the inaugural running of the One Up Modified Motor Tour. We got a whole schedule of races ahead of us, 12 races in total. This is just the first one. We'll see you again in about a month's time at the South Boston Speedway in South Boston, Virginia for 50 laps there. That's going to be a lot of fun, I'm sure, as a whole new set of challenges on the 4/10 of a mile track there. So, from Lane Sanders and from myself as well, we say so long from the Daytona International Speedway. History has been made with the inaugural running of the first race of the One Up Modified Motor Tour. Congratulations to Ashton Blevins. He put his demons to bed today with a big win, and he'll always be remembered as the first winner in the One Up Modified Motor Tour's history.